Ciao e benvenuti al Tavolo Italian. Today we're talking about da quanto tempo versus da quando. As usual, before we get started, just a few quick footnotes. This lesson assumes you know the basic principles involving conjugating Italian verbs, particularly in the present and imperfect tenses. You'll also have to have a basic Italian vocabulary and especially be familiar with numbers in Italian. And like any aspect of Italian grammar, it takes practice to really gain an understanding and ability to use what you will learn here. So, parli italiano. Pronto? Okay, let's get started. The difference between da quanto tempo and da quando is the same difference between how long versus since when. Let's start by looking at da quanto tempo. It is to inquire about the duration of time in which something has been happening or has been. In other words, how long. The phrase da quanto tempo is followed by a verb in the present tense and any objects, etc. that go with that verb. Therefore, you could express this method as a math equation looking like this. Da quanto tempo plus present tense verb clause equals how long have ... question mark. Here are some examples. Da quanto tempo aspetti l'autobus? How long have you been waiting for the bus? Da quanto tempo ascoltate la musica? How long have you all been listening to the music? Da quanto tempo bevi il vino? How long has he been drinking wine? In addition, you can use other words representing units of time in place of the word tempo. You need to make sure that quanto agrees with whatever you use in place of tempo. Per esempio, da quanti anni studiando italiano? Or, da quanti giorni siete in Italia? Notice for anni e giorni we have quanti, not quanto, because they're plural. So how do you respond when somebody asks you, da quanto tempo? Fortunately, the answer is quite simple. We simply use a slightly different formula for the sentence. This time we start with the verb clause in a present tense, then da, and the units of time needed to express quanto tempo. So in reality, tempo becomes almost like a pronoun for an antecedent that you're going to vocalize, and quanto is dropped altogether. Example. First, let's look at the formula. Present tense verb clause plus da plus the units of time needed to express quanto tempo. Here are some examples. The first one, aspetto l'autobus da 30 minuti. I've been waiting for the bus for 30 minutes. See, the verb is first, the verb clause, and then da, and then the tempo. In this case, it's 30 minuti. So the question was, quanto tempo aspetti l'autobus? Aspetto l'autobus da 30 minuti. Then we have, ascoltiamo la musica da 2 ore. We have been listening to the music for 2 hours. The verb clause, da, and the tempo. Bevi il vino rosso da 8 anni. He has been drinking red wine for 8 years. The verb clause, da, and tempo. Facile, no? Now let's look at da quando. Da quando, on the other hand, is to ask since when. The phrase da quando is followed by a verb in the present tense and any objects, etc. Therefore, you could express this method as a math equation looking like this. Da quando plus present tense verb clause equals since when ... question mark. Here are some examples. Da quando suona la chitarra? Since when has he been playing the guitar? Or, da quando ti piace la carne? Since when do you like meat? Or, da quando studiano italiano? Since when have they studied Italian? You have da quando and then the verb clause. So how do you respond when somebody asks you, da quando? Fortunately, this answer is also quite simple. We simply use a slightly different formula for the sentence. This time we start with the verb clause in the present tense, and then da, and when the action or state of being started. Remember, this isn't asking how long. This is asking since when. So you see the sentence structure is quite similar to the answer to the other question, da quanto tempo, because we start off with the present tense verb clause, plus da, plus the, plus the time frame that represents when it started. Typo there, I have the units of time needed to express quanto tempo. That's incorrect. It would be present tense verb clause plus da, plus when the action or state of being started. Here's some examples. Suono la chitarra da 3 anni fa. He has been playing the guitar since 3 years ago. Mi piace la carne dalla prima volta l'ho mangiata. I have liked meat since the first time I ate it. Or, studiano italiano dall'anno scorso. They have studied Italian since last year. One final note, all of the phrases have been expressed so far as present perfect. For example, in English, that is, example, ascoltiamo la musica da 2 ore. We have been listening to music for 2 hours. To put these in the past, you simply conjugate the verb in the imperfect tense instead of the present tense. For example, ascoltavamo la musica da 2 ore. We had been listening to music for 2 hours. Once again, that's ascoltavamo la musica da 2 ore. We had been listening to music for 2 hours. It's not we have been, it's we had been. So if you need to express it in the past, you simply conjugate the verb in the imperfect tense. Well, grazie mille. There you have it. Hopefully that helps you a little bit understand the difference between da quanto tempo and da quando. Don't forget there's more information on this topic along with exercises, vocabulary list, etc. all at tavoloitaliano.com, where all the online information is always free. So with that, I'll say grazie mille, ciao e parla italiano.